Rav Zayin Mud Aleph at the bottom. Amar Rav Yehuda Bodek Tzur Shivarach. Why is it that Rav Yehuda needs to tell us that you have to do Bedikas Chametz, but if you make a bracha about Bedikas Chametz? Why? Why is it such a chiddush? Why might you think that you wouldn't have to make a bracha?
Maybe you think that the bracha should be made by Bir Chametz.
Oh, very good. Maybe you should make the bracha by Bir Chametz. Good. What else? What else might you think you shouldn't need to make a bracha?
There's no mitzvah. There's no direct mitzvah to check it.
Okay, so although we did see a Yachid that holds that Bedikas Chametz is direct, most probably it makes a lot more sense to say that it is under Rabbanan. Now, to say that it's the Rabbanan, there's no bracha, you can't really say why, because we do make brachos over the Rabbanans. We just did a couple days ago in Purim, right? Right? So, why else might one assume that maybe you would need to make a bracha over Bedikas Chametz? So that's good. That's the... Take a look at... No, it's not here. I would actually, although there are many who want to argue that Bedikas Chametz is really over the beer. No, based on what we said for the past number of months, and I only discovered it. I discovered it this morning during breakfast. I was looking over at the Gemara. I was taking a look at a sefer here. That Rabbeinu David, you know what Rabbeinu David says? Rabbeinu David says, you know why you need to make a bracha? The chiddush of Rabbi Yehuda? The chiddush of Rabbi Yehuda is that, first of all, when it comes to a D'Rabbanan, you have to say that you make a bracha, because you don't always make a bracha with the D'Rabbanan. And not only that, you might think that has connected to beer. No. You're making a bracha D'Rabbanan on Bedikas Chametz, qua Bedikas Chametz. Right? It is a bracha over Bedikas Chametz. So why is the nusach, as we know, Bir Chametz? So he says, look, at the end of the day, there's a mitzvah to do Bedika, right? But we have to take, remember this? We spoke of this before. We have to take inventory. Once we take inventory, we need to make a decision. What do we do once we've taken inventory? Do we have to do nothing because we have no Chametz? Or do we need to destroy the Chametz? Right? So he says, at the end of the day, it's true, Bedikas Chametz is something which means it's Rabbanan, but since its purpose is still connected to, go back to what we said, Bi'arti HaKodesh. Remember what we said a long, long time ago, back in the fall, when it was, 30 degrees warmer, Bi'arti HaKodesh. Remember what Bi'or means? To take out of my house. It might not even mean to destroy. And therefore, what we're perhaps saying is we make the bracha on Bir Chametz, it's how we're going to deal with this Chametz when we find it eventually. Destroy it, take it out. There's many things I can do with it. Right? I could be mevat. By the way, if I find it, maybe I could just do bittul. We know that bittul b'masagi, we know it's sufficient. So we say destroy it in case you might come to eat it, but that's only the Rabbanan. So the effective Rabbeinu David, what he seems to imply is that the chiddush is that you need Bedikas Chametz has a bracha d'Rabbanan, and here's what he says here. Habracha hi al etzem habdika, ve'af she'ena elam d'Rabbanan mikomaka mevarchim gam al mitzvah d'Rabbanan. Okay, and he quoted even other opinions who agree with him. So, and he says, and quoted this. I was so excited. V'hosif. Shebir ina lashon sreifa ela bedika. I was very excited to see this morning, right? That beer isn't necessarily lashon sreifa, and you're going to say, why not? Where do I get this from? Because he quotes our pasuk. Remember, we said this months ago. Bi'arti hakodesh min habayit, because bi'arti hakodesh min habayit doesn't mean to burn; it means to remove. So we are removing the chametz from our home. There you go. And that's exactly the purpose of Bedika, is to take inventory, what we want to do, and what might we do? We could remove it, we could burn it, we could do whatever we want with it, but that is effectively the bracha that we are making. Okay. Question. Famous question. This is why it's worthwhile mentioning. Do I need to put out bread before Bedikas Chametz? Meaning, what about if there's no bread? Is that a bracha l'vatala? So what's the minhag ha'olam? What do we generally do?
Make a bracha before.
What do we do? What do we do? If I don't find any bread, is the bracha vatala?
Well, I mean, generally we put it out before.
What do we put out?
We put out 10 pieces of bread before.
No, says the Rama, no hagim lahaniach petite chametz b'makom sheyimtzaim habodek. Why? Kedei shelo yeh birchato levatala. Says the Rama, careful, just so we don't have bracha vatala, we should put out pieces of bread. Comes along the Mishnah Brura, and what does he say? No, not so simple. Sorry, I should continue the Ramah first. Umihu im lo natan lo ikev. Says the Ramah, he says, even though that's a minhag, and he quotes a source, nonetheless, the Ramah continues and says, you don't have to do this. Meaning, it's a minhag, but you want to tell me you have to do it? Like it's le'ikuva? No, lo natan lo ikev. Dedat kol adam imabracha leva'er im sinim. Because again, when we make the bracha biur chametz, we're saying if we find it, we'll remove it, we'll get rid of it. But do I have to put it there? Not only that, it's always interesting to talk about things which are so ingrained in tradition, which is fine. But there might even be something very dangerous with putting out chametz before Bedikas Chametz. You know what that is?
What if you don't find it?
We're going to find it. Ma'aseh Shahaya in the Greenberg household on Galecrest. 5 years ago, my Tzvi was 8 at the time, and he put out 10 pieces of bread, and we were very makbid. I made him put out a map, so we knew where he was going to put it. And not only that, make sure that each piece is less than a kazait. Also, for this reason. And he wrapped it up and he made a whole. We couldn't find the bread. We knew it was in a room, it was in a closet. We couldn't find it. We sold the house, so obviously sold the chametz. I don't know. We couldn't find it, right? Don't know what happened to it. It must have gotten stuck in clothing somewhere. I have absolutely no idea where it is. So there's one could argue that not only is there no toilet with putting out the bread, but perhaps it's even worse than that. Hang on, here. Says the Bir Hetev. Meaning, he's saying, don't do it. He says that's really the l'chadchila, is not to put out the bread. Why? And he quotes the Taz. So the Taz says, don't put out the bread. You're playing with fire. You're playing with chametz. Don't put it out. Okay, and where does this come from? The Arizal Katav min Hagzev v'yaniach 10 petitim v'hu al pi sod gadol. Don't ask me what the sod is. I have no idea. Okay, so the Arizal put out 10 pieces of bread derech Kabbalah. Now, that being said, the Chai Adam says lo yuvatal minhag. It's a minhag of Yisrael. And therefore, maybe, perhaps, don't dismiss it so quickly. Okay, but it's not so simple just to put out the piece of bread. It's worthwhile mentioning. Anyways, so let's go on. So we make the bracha. Now, here's the $1 million question, of course. My mevarach, what's the bracha? So we kind of gave it away already, but take a look. My mevarach, Rav Papi Amar, Mishmei de Rava, levaer chametz. Rav Papa Amar, Mishmei de Rava, al biur chametz. Now, here's my question. What is the difference be'ivrit, b'lashon HaKodesh, me-levaer and al? What? So let's take a look. Actually, let's take a look at the English article. What do they say? How do they translate it into English? Let's grab this. So here we go. What do you think the difference is between the language? Asher kedishanu, mizav and sivanu, levaer, chametz. What is that? How would you translate that into English?
To burn.
Okay, so get rid. To burn, to destroy, to remove. Right? You gotta be careful there. How you want to translate it, right? Okay. Now, what does that imply?
That you're about to do it.
That you're about to do it. You haven't done it yet. I'm about to do it. Okay. What about the word al? What does it mean? Al biur chametz. How would you translate the word al into English?
On.
So, yes, what does that mean? On. Very good. What's on?
About.
About, right? Like there's this idea called Bir Chametz, and that's what making the bracha on, right? Very much more
General?
right, very much more general. It's almost so. What would, because we know, and this is going to be a major discussion. When do we make the bracha al, and when do we make the bracha le? So, give me a few examples that you know of where we use al and when we use le. So we just read the Megillah. What's the bracha on the Megillah?
Al Mikra Megillah.
Al Mikra Megillah. Okay, so there's al. Okay, give me another bracha mitzvah.
Al Netilat Yadayim.
Al Netilat Yadayim. Good. Give me.
That's both.
I forgot about you. What? You scared me. What was that?
Tzitzit has both.
Tzitzit.
Oh, tzitzit. Ooh. Because you're a Sfaradi, so you're very. So what does the Sfaradi say? But okay, so you make a bracha over you wear a talis every day?
Yeah.
Okay. So what's the bracha over a talis? Litatev b'tzitzit. And what's the bracha over tzitzit?
Al mitzvah tzitzit.
Al mitzvah tzitzit. Okay, so here we see there's a difference between the two. Okay, very good.
Right.
Okay, what?
Al Achila Matzah.
Al achila matzah. Al netila lulav. Al achilat maror. So give me another le bracha, a le example. Le haniach tefillin. Good. So we have to figure out what's the difference. When did Chazal, when's the nusach of the bracha al, and when do they choose le? It's going to be very complicated. Any other examples you can think of?
The Krot Halal.
Ooh, the Krot Halal. That's a good one. Okay. So let's read it before we can really appreciate the nusach. I think we have to read a little bit more in the Gemara. At least it'll perhaps give us an entree into making this distinction. But I think it's worthwhile reading a little bit more in the Gemara. Okay, so we definitely know that. First of all, we could even. By the way, one could argue, it's interchangeable. Doesn't matter. Maybe al and le. By the way, if you make a mistake and you switch it al and le, that doesn't really matter. Is there really such a difference? Okay, so we shall see. Okay, let's go on the Gemara. Okay, man. When it comes to le, everyone agrees it's a fine bracha to make. Okay, so the Gemara said what you guys said, that the word le seems to imply it's about to happen, right? Li kroes halal, right? And what's the next word I say? I mean kares halal, right? Le haniach tefillin. So the word les definitely seems to imply it's a precursor to the actual mitzvah that I'm about to do. Right? It's on the threshold. I'm about to do this mitzvah. Likra ta'ala lehanyach tefillin lishmoa kol shofar. Other liz. Lidatev batzitzit. Other liz. Okay. Well, we get the idea. Let's go on. So what do they pligi over? Keep pligi on. Keep pligi ba'al beer. So what's the machloket then on beer? Mar savar mi kara mashma. Umar savar lahaba mashma. So the first part of the Gemara is saying, the machloket is over. Everyone agrees le means that you're about to do it. But here's the problem. The problem is when we make this bracha on Bir Chametz, since the word al seems to imply it's already been done already, we're in the process of doing it, since maybe it's in fact after the mitzvah, therefore you make the bracha al. When is the only time you make the bracha le? When it is done before the actual mitzvah. Take a look at Rashi. Mi karamashma al biur shebiarti. I already did the biur. V'harei adayin lo badak. And yet I didn't do bedika. Deha bracha kodem bedikahi. and biur hainu nami bidika. So says Rashi, since what? I've already started the process of biur. Why have I started the process of biur? So I'll tell you a bit of a secret. According to Rashi, you actually can start the process 30 days beforehand, right? Based on what we've discussed a few weeks ago. And therefore, we are already in the zone of biur. Therefore, we're not starting, hasn't been done yet. And because of that, what? We make the bracha al. But because we can't say le. Le is only said, at this point in time, the Havmin and the Gemara is when you're about to do it. Not when you're in the midst of doing it, or when you've done it already. When you've done it already, or you're in the midst of doing it, then you use the nusach al. Everyone agrees, says the Gemara, that if you were about to do it, and you haven't, meaning, tefillin, you haven't put on tefillin yet, you're about to put on tefillin, then you say le. But when you are in the midst of it, or when you've done it already, then you make a bracha, ka'an, then the nusach of the bracha is al. That's what the Gemara seems to say. Meaning, and the other opinion says, no. Therefore, why am I saying le? I'm saying le because I'm still about to do it. And the other opinion says, I'm saying al because I'm in the midst of doing it. So some machalokas over what is the appearance of the stage that I'm at. Am I in the middle of it, or am I about to do it? And since okay. So ask the Gemara, what do you mean? Meitivei baruch atah shalom lechem asher kedishana b'mitzvosav v'tzivanu al hamila. Wait a second. You mean to tell me that al is said when you're in the midst of the bracha? Sorry, when you're in the midst of the mitzvah? What are you talking about? When you do a brit milah, before the brit milah, what do you say? Al hamila. You haven't done it yet. Don't tell me that al is said when you are in the midst of the mitzvah. It's not true. You make the bracha al hamila. It's before the baby has been circumcised. So what are you telling me that le is used when it's mi'ikara and al is used when you're in the midst? It's not true. We have an example from Brit Milah that al is used and it's said before you do the mitzvah. Continues the Gemara. Whoa, time out. Hatam hechinami, you're right. Nema limo. So answers the Gemara, when it comes to Milah, you're right. What is this person doing? What's this Mohel doing? He's going around town giving britot. Oh, he's Aaron Justin, right? He's going around and he has a number of ones to do today. So therefore, the name lamul, you want to tell me he said he can use the word lamul? No, he can't. Why? Lo sagyad alav ihu mahio. He is not the he has no obligation to do it. Meaning, the other issue is to use the word lamul means that he is obligated to. That meaning, I have an obligation to do it. I got to do it right now. As opposed to this al hamila means there's this conceptual mitzvah called al hamila that I'm partaking in. Right? But li, when you use the language of le, it means that I am the person who's obligated to do. I'm the moha. I'm not obligated to do it. You're the father. You're obligated to do it. Right? So we have a problem. Why is it that we use the bracha al by milah? It's true we do it before it's been done. You're right. But that's because almost a technicality. It should be le. But why can't it be le? Because I'm the moal. I'm not the father. Limo implies that I was placed upon me to give a brit milah. It wasn't placed upon me. I'm the moal. You're the father. You should be doing it. Therefore, concludes the Gemara, Aviha ben ma'ika lamemar. What's the bracha that the father should say? In hachinami. Meaning that what? If the father gives his kid a brit milah, what should the nusach of the bracha be? Limo. Not al hamilah. Machlokas rishonim. If the father gives a brit milah for his son, do we hold like this Gemara or not? Is this Gemara... By the way, if you were to close the Gemara right now, it seems to imply if Aaron Jessen gives a brit milah for somebody, he makes al hamilah. But what about if you are a mo yourself and you give the Brit Milah to your own child, what bracha should you make? Not ala milah, but limo let b'ni, right? And that because it's a different, the chiyuv is mutalat on the father. Okay? So, that's the way it appears the Gemara seems to conclude. It's not all Rishonim agree, that's actually the conclusion of the Gemara, well, as you'll see in a minute. Okay? So, again, just to go through what we've seen so far. We had Havmina to say, everyone agrees that you use the le when you're about to do it. What's the reason why you might say al bir chametz? Because we are in the midst of doing this mitzvah, and you use the word al in the midst, and you use the word le when it's before. The Gemara asked a question from Brit Milah, but we say al hamila, and al hamila clearly it's before the Brit Milah. The Rebbe says no, that's because it's done by the mohel, and the mohel isn't obligated himself. He has no chiyuv mutelat al atzmo to do the mitzvah. He's the shaliach. He's doing it. And therefore he can't. Really, he should say le, but he can't because it's not true. He wasn't commanded himself. So he therefore uses this other nusach called al, which means this general concept of Brit Milah that exists. And therefore he's engaging in that mitzvah for somebody else. But if the father himself were to do the Brit Milah, he would use le. Why? Because le implies that he himself is obligated, as a bar gavra is obligated, and when is he about to do it? In the next moment, right? It's this he's making the le nosach is the precursor to doing the mitzvah that you yourself are obligated to do. You're about to put on tefillin. Shemi's Jason's body has obligation to put on tefillin. La'aniach tefillin right before he does the mitzvah. Then he puts the mitzvah. That's why it's le. It's for his body. He's obligated, and it's done before. That's the nusach of the bracha. The Gemara continues on this and says, actually asks a question, Meisive, what do you mean? Wait a second. Okay, fine, you resolved it by Brit Milah. Very nice, but that's not the only problem. Because what about Baruch Asher Kedisham Zivanu ala Shchita? Right? You make a bracha before you do Shchita. And you want to tell me that al is done, only recited when you're in the midst? It's not true. You say ala Shchita, what do? Then you shecht. First of all, just as a side note, it's a machlok if there's a mitzvah to do shchita or not, right? Not so simple if there's mitzvah to do shchita or not. Machloket, if it counts as deraisa of the 613, I believe it's the Rambam and the Raiva that there's a machloket or not. And the Sefer Chinuch probably holds like the Rambam, that there's a mitzvah of shchita, I mean a shchita of chulin, right? For kosher food. Okay, anyways, it doesn't matter because you can always say it's just the Rabbanan, right? Answers the Gemara, Hatam nami echi nami. No. Also for shchita, this is just, if I'm a shochet and I'm shechting meat for the community, you want to tell me that the chiyuv is on me? I'm a shalech for the community. Similar to, I'm a mohel. I'm a shaliach for the father. So, therefore, I can't say lishchot. I can't have that definitive language like lehanyach tefillin. It's not on me. I don't have this obligation to do it. I'm choosing to do it. I'm a shochet. I went to shochet school. I'm licensed. So I can't see the bracha lishchot. It's not really on me. Therefore, just like by mohel, he has no choice but to say al. So too, a shochet has no choice but to say al. Don't bring this as a proof that the word al means only when you're in the midst of doing the mitzvah. It's not true, because it also, le appears to be locked us in, not just to the precursor to the mitzvah, but also that I am obligated. And I'm not obligated to do shchita, I'm just the shochet of the community. Hatzam nami, achi nami, right? By shchita, nema lishchot. That's the Gemara asks. Answers the Gemara, lo sagya delav iu shachat. Again, he's just, he's just a local shochet. He's not obligated. So, le seems to imply, lehanyach tefillin, lishchat, limo. It means that I myself am obligated to do it. I'm not obligated to do shchita. It's a nice thing to do, even for a whole that it's a mitzvah to do it, but it's not on me. You could do it. Okay, you can't do it. Shachat, I'll do it for you. But you can't tell me that the chiyuv is placed upon me. And, so what about by Pesach and Kochim? What about by Pesach and by Kochim? So again, this is a complicated situation here. Am I Kochim? Am I obligated to do Shechita of Kochim? We know that there's 4 stages of a Korban, right? The last 3 must be done by a Kohen, but we know Shechita, Kshera, Bizarre. We know that a non-Kohen, nothing personal, BJ, a non-Kohen can do Shechita. right? Shchita kshera bizarre. So the question is, am I obligated to do it? I'm not obligated to do it. This is a whole machlokas and afkamina and alien. Not for now, but it's a whole machlokas. If better to have the balim to do it, better to have. Okay, not for now. So Michael lemeimar einachinami. Oh, what about if I'm bringing my korban myself? Then maybe einachinami. What bracha do I make? I don't say ala shchita. If Greenberg is bringing his own korban, he doesn't say ala shchita. He has to say lishchat at pischo, lishchat at whatever korban he's bringing. Einachinami. So when I do it, I say le. If I have a chiyuv that's placed upon me, I'm bringing my korban. I don't say ala shchita. I say le. Why le? Because le implies obligation is on me, and I'm about to do that action, I'm about to do that mitzvah. But in a situation where it's just this ala shchita because someone needs to shecht kosher meat in Toronto, so then you say ala shchita. But when it's Greenberg bringing his korban, enachinami says Gemara, you'd say lishchot at his korban. Okay? So we see that is the machloket. Okay, let's continue. Meitive, we only have a couple more minutes. It's Meitive, ha'oseh lulav. A person makes a lulav. La'atzmo. Mevarach she'achiyanu v'kimang. Okay, because there's an opinion, we don't hold this way, that when you actually prepare the hechsher of the mitzvah, might be part of the mitzvah too. We don't hold that way. Nitalo latzed bo. And what about if he's no tell it? He says, Asher kishon zvanu al nitila lulav. Uh-oh. How can you say al the lulav if you hold that it is done in the midst of the bracha? What are you talking about? It's not in the midst of the bracha. It's before I do in the midst of the mitzvah. It's done before I do the mitzvah. So why is it, again, going back to the original question, why do I say al? No, shani hatam de beidna dagbaha nafakbe. Because the moment you lift it, the lovin etrog, you are already yotze. Therefore, you say al because you're in the midst of the mitzvah. You did it already. By the way, in order so that we don't do this, what do? We make sure to pick it up, not derech gidula. That's we hold that etrog upside down. So we're not yotze at all. Let's continue. Ehachi latzid bo. Yatzabo mi baile. What do you mean? But the Brisa says nitalo latzid bo. He's picking it to be motzi himself. Not that he was already yotze this mitzvah. So why are you telling me you're in the midst of the mitzvah? It says latzid bo, that your intention. So you weren't yotze yet. If you weren't yotze yet, why are you saying al? According to you, you only say al in the midst of the mitzvah. And here, it's clear he's about to pick it up to be yotze. So don't tell me you're in the midst of the mitzvah. Yachinami, you're right, it's true. Mishum dekabai the mitnei seifa leishev basukah. Since at the end of this brighter, we're talking about the nusach of leishev basukah. A guy walks into a sukkah to be motzi. Therefore, what? Tana reishanami. Therefore, similar to the Brisa wanted to show balance between the two. Latzed bo. But really, the person was already yotze netilat lulav, and therefore used the nusach of the bracha of al. The katani seifa ha'usa sukkah la'atzmo omer baruch ata Hashem shechiyanu v'kimanu lezman hazeh nichnas leishev ba'omer baruch asher kedishanu b'misvosav v'tzivanu leishev ba'sukkah, and comes on the Gemara and concludes v'hilchasa. We hold like Rav Papa. And what is the language? The language is al bi'ur chametz. We make the bracha of al bi'ur chametz. Next week, we're going to have to analyze. The question is, we make the bracha al bi'ur chametz. Is this trying to say that it's ideal? Is it a chila? When it says that's a halacha, is that because is that a chiddush? Is that always? We always say al? Do we always say? So that's something we're going to need to analyze in the next little while. Next week. And that will be our topic. Okay? So next week, we're going to continue with this sugya and discuss a little bit more the sugyot of al and the sugyot of le. And then from there, we're going to, I think, jump to the 10th parak, and we'll see a couple of topics just over the next few weeks until Pesach itself.